They say Lagos never sleeps, but on the night of June 10, 2026, the city held its breath. For weeks, Nigeria had been locked in a state of collective denial. When the news first broke on May 11th that Alexx Ekubo, the vibrant, charismatic charm of Nollywood, a man whose smile could light up the dimmest room, had closed his eyes forever after a quiet, grueling battle with metastatic kidney cancer, the internet rejected it. We searched for a retraction. We waited for him to post a video saying it is a scene from a new blockbuster. But tonight, at the Monarch Event Centre in Lekki, reality finally crashed down with the weight of an iron curtain. This wasn't a standard celebrity gathering. This was a structural shifting of the industry's soul. The Ekubo-Okwaraeke family had requested an all-white attire service of songs, turning the venue into a striking visual landscape of innocence and grievance. But beneath the pristine white fabrics, the hearts walking through those doors were completely broken into pieces. This was the night the industry had to look his grieving wife, his siblings, and his aging mother in the face and admit that the bright screen had gone completely dark. When you look at actors, you look at professionals trained to manufacture emotion on demand. They know how to cry for a camera. They know how to structure grief to touch an audience. But tonight, there was no director to scream action, and there was no script to follow. The grief that tore through the venue was raw, unedited, and completely devastating. To see Kate Henshaw, a woman known for her fierce strength and vibrant energy, break down so completely was a sight that tore at the hearts of everyone present. Beside her, personalities like Tacha sat with their hands buried in their heads, their shoulders shaking violently as the reality of the loss truly settled in. Nancy Isime, Omoni Oboli, Ruth Kadiri, Iniedo, and Funke Akindele, women who have shared countless laughs and movie sets with Alexx, sat in a state of visible, agonizing numbness. They weren't looking at a colleague, they were looking at a piece of their youth, a piece of their collective journey, being prepared for the earth. The tears shed that night were for the late night calls, the unrecorded kindnesses, and the sudden, terrifying realization of how fragile life truly is. The true emotional peak of the evening arrived when those who worked closely with Alexx stepped up to give their final tributes. There is no harder task in human existence than standing before a stadium of mourners to summarize a life that was taken too soon. When Ogbonna took the stage, the entire hall became tightly silent. Ogbonna's voice didn't just break, it completely dissolved under the weight of his words. He spoke of a brotherhood that extended far past the public relations of Nollywood, a friendship of true substance, mutual protection, and shared vulnerability. Then came the family. Alexx's siblings stepped to the podium, representing a household that has been permanently altered by grief. Their tribute was a window into Alexx the son, Alexx the brother, and the boy from Arochukwu, who carried the love of his family into the global spotlight. They spoke of his deep generosity, his unwavering devotion to God, and how he protected his inner circle from the storms of life. To hear his family speak was to understand that while Nigeria lost a star, this home lost its anchor. In the depth of African grief, when human words lose their capacity to heal, we turn to the divine. The service of songs was not allowed to end in despair. It was deliberately steered into a powerful evening of intense spiritual intercession. The spiritual atmosphere was anchored by prominent spiritual leaders, including Pastor Ituah, Ighodalo, and Pastor Ujari Village, who delivered heavy, comforting exhortations to a broken audience. When Peterson Okopi took the microphone, his vocals pierced through the heavy sorrow in the room, forcing attendees to lift their hands in submission to a sovereign God. Mrs. Bliss followed, channeling the collective tears into a powerful expression of faith. And when Nathaniel Bassey ministered, the heavy atmosphere of mourning broke, replaced by a profound sense of peace that surpassed human understanding. These gospel ministers did not perform. They served as conduits of healing for an industry that was bleeding internally. They reminded the grieving wife, the weeping colleagues, and the devastated family that though the physical body fails, the soul that rests in God has conquered the grave. Yet, because this was Lagos, a state where the sublime and the heartbreakingly profane exist on the exact same street corner, the sacred evening was not completely insulated from the cold, ruthless reality of the outer world. In a shocking development that later caused an uproar across the digital landscape, the solemnity of the service was disrupted by an act of absolute opportunism. While inside the hall, tears were flowing, hands were lifted in prayer, and hearts were completely broken. Elements of the Lagos underground were operating on the perimeter. Reports emerged that over 10 high-end mobile devices were stolen from attendees who were too consumed by grief to notice their bags and pockets were being picked. Among the prominent victims was popular actress and media personality Bambam, along with veteran actress Susan Peters, who both lost their devices to the number-fingered opportunistic thieves. It was a jarring, frustrating reminder of the environment we inhabit. How anyone could look at a gathering of weeping people, see an aging mother crying for her son, and see nothing but an opportunity to commit a crime is a question that defies human decency. It cast a brief shadow of anger over a night meant for pure reverence, reminding everyone that even in our holiest moments of mourning, the streets of Lagos demand total vigilance. As the lights finally dimmed at the Monarch Event Centre, the crowd slowly began to scatter into the night, leaving behind an empty hall that had just witnessed the true death of Nollywood's heart. The Lagos phase of the farewell was finally over, but the final destination still lies ahead. In the coming days, the body of Alexx Ekubo will make the long, solemn journey back to his ancestral home in Abia State for the final wake keep on June 17 at the family compound in Aziukwukwa, Ujari Village, Arochukwu, and the final interment on June 18 at Mary Slessor School. The phones that were stolen can be replaced. The tears shed that night will eventually dry, but the void left by Alexx Ekubo's passing is a permanent scare on the face of our culture. He lived a life defined by warmth, generosity, and unyielding capacity to love his people. Tonight, his people showed up to return that love in full measure. Thank you for watching this emotional documentary. Let us pay our last respects in the comment section below. Rest well, Alexx. Your light will never be forgotten.